The positive news is that the physical market on the COMEX is being drained. There's little doubt about that. We're down to somewhere around 27 million ounces in the registry category. As far as I'm concerned, the bond market is a joke at this point because everyone knows mathematically that you pay back. So how do you extend the game? Well, extend the game, like all nation states or all currency creators, you make your currency appear to be more valuable or give an incentive to hold on to it. So you do that by raising the interest rate. If you look at some of the banana republics that have failed since they don't have a real debt market like the US does, they just inflate away and it becomes worthless like almost very quickly. In the US, since we are the debt capital of the world, all that debt has to be paid back in dollars. So if the dollar costs more, meaning the yield is high, then there's more perceived value to it. More people are willing to participate and continue the game. So if we went back to zero rate interest rate policy, which I highly doubt, but I won't rule it out completely, I think that's where you'd see the dollar break. What I mean by dollar break is that at that point, you'd have to be almost undereducated about money at any level to understand that now we're telling you zero interest rates and money's not worth anything. It has no value. It's zero interest rate. And therefore, it's trying to bail out of the dollar and get into something else. That's not a scenario I actually see happening. I think you're going to see more of this Fed Now program that's operated in July, just a couple of weeks away. Bank to bank, it won't be individual to bank, but it could be a precursor. Some say yes, some say no. I read it. I couldn't make a strong case that it's a precursor to the direct payment method to the Fed, but it will definitely speed up transactions bank to bank. So we're in uncharted waters, as you and I have talked about for years and years. Metals are still a safe haven, but in my darker moments, I think, how well have they done? And depends by what metric you use. When I started the silver investor, silver was under $5. Inflation adjusted low on a historical basis. It was the lowest price for silver in all of recorded history. So certainly I did my best to get people in low. Not many people came on board. The positive news is that the physical market on the COMEX is being drained. There's little doubt about that. We're down to somewhere around 27 million ounces in the registry category. And I've seen it get down in the low 30s a few times in the 20-something years I've been watching the commitment of traders and the warehouse receipts. And Ted Butler did an article on SilverSeek talking about, I think he asked the question, has manipulation ended? I don't want to misquote anybody, but he made a strong case for how much the open interest has dropped off. And all his points are valid because they're based in fact. But I had a slightly different take. I think that the open interest has dropped, which there's the fact we have to agree on, but it's due to the fact that there really isn't that much registered silver available to make good on people that will stand for delivery. And what that means is you don't want to have too much risk, which means instead of trading 10 cars or so many, that's slang for contracts, but trading in the hundreds of contracts or 500s of contracts, you pare it down. Either you leave the market or you reduce your risk, because if someone does stand for delivery, the COMEX cannot default because by their rules, they could settle in cash. But if they did that, especially to a big player, if it wasn't some onesie twosie like me standing for a contract or two or whatever, the CFTC blows you off and gives you a letter, says, here's your check. You don't have the rules say we can pay you off. But if that were to happen to somebody like a Samsung or a Tesla or Apple or even it's a main manufacturer that manufactures solar panels for it, any of those, I think, would mitigate into the silver markets community really quickly. And I think that the silver bugs would absolutely take advantage of it and take action, knowing that the COMEX is having issues with their inventory supply. The number one advocacy is freedom. I made that video about 10 years ago, and it started with his brother John F., and he showed Bernanke's show, or Ron Paul showing a silver coin to Bernanke. But in the second half of that video, I talk about, it doesn't matter how much money you've got, real money, gold, silver. if you lose your freedom, if you lose your ability to go where you want to go, say what you want to say, buy what you want to buy, travel where you want to travel, if you lose that, if you lost your freedom, it doesn't matter how much, honestly. And I'm just adding on to that, Elijah. I think there will be absolute resistance on the pushback, whether it will go into where there's gold and silver based cryptos and they run as a parallel to the new system. That's a possibility. I'm very hopeful, but I'm not overly optimistic that the powers that be wouldn't try to muddy the waters in that realm. We don't know. I do think that face-to-face transactions cannot be stopped. So there'll always be what's called a black market, which is really a free market. And just taking a digression from there, Elijah, there's a movie years ago called Looper, L-O-P-E-R. And in that science fiction movie, the assassins are paid off in gold and silver. But the point is that all free market activities in that era, this is in the future, are done primarily with silver. So in other words, you've got your script from the authorities, but if you want to go to a certain club or go to a certain location or visit somebody or whatever, you have to pass through the gate, and the gate requires payment in silver. So interesting, I digress to make the point that you can outlaw it, you can smash it down, you can penalize it, you can do all kinds of things, but it will walk on majestically because people will do what's in their own self-interest, especially during trying times. And if you've got the advantage of buying 2 loaves of bread for half an ounce of silver, then people don't get mad at the price, give you the idea, whatever. Or the fiat of the realm, most people will start using real money, and you have an advantage there. It's true. That can be proven already in Argentina, Venezuela, Turkey, these places that had severe inflation. If you have precious metals, 99% of the time you're better off.